Margaret always had a sharp mind. She remembered birthdays, phone numbers, even small details from years ago. It was something she was proud of. But recently, something felt different. She would pause mid-sentence, searching for a word that used to come easily. At first, she laughed it off. Just getting older, she told her daughter. But one evening, as she stood in her kitchen, holding her keys, she suddenly couldn't remember what she was about to do. Not for a second, but for long enough to feel uneasy. What she didn't realize was, this wasn't just forgetfulness. It was her brain, quietly asking for something it wasn't getting anymore. Over the years, I have spoken with many people who believed their memory changes were simply part of aging. They would laugh when they forgot a word, smile when they misplaced something small, and almost always they used the same explanation. It's just age. And sometimes it is. But not always in the way people think. After the age of 50, the brain does not simply slow down. It changes how it uses energy, how it processes information, and most importantly, how it restores itself between moments of activity. What many people don't realize is that brain health after 50 depends less on luck and more on daily patterns. Quiet habits, simple routines, things that feel too ordinary to matter, like how often you move during the day, even short walks through a quiet park or gentle morning stretches near a window. Small movements may seem insignificant, but they signal the brain to stay active and responsive, or how often your mind stays engaged. Reading a few pages from a book, looking through old photographs, or recalling names and stories from years past. These moments of reflection help strengthen mental connections in ways we rarely notice. When those daily patterns begin to shrink, even slightly, your brain feels it. Not immediately, but gradually, like a lamp that still glows, but not as brightly as before. You can still function, still speak, still carry on conversations, but something begins to feel softer, less sharp than it once was. Not broken, just quieter. And because this change happens slowly, it rarely demands attention. It whispers instead of shouting. Until one day, you notice yourself trying a little harder to recall something that once came effortlessly. And that's when the quiet question begins. Is this normal? Or is my brain asking for help? Margaret didn't become worried overnight. At first, she simply became curious. She began noticing how often she paused mid-sentence, searching for a word that used to arrive without effort. Not completely forgotten, just delayed. And those delays stayed with her longer than the moments themselves. One afternoon, she sat alone with an old photo album resting on her lap. The room was quiet, filled only with soft afternoon light. Page after page, familiar faces smiled back at her. Friends from earlier years, family gatherings, celebrations long past. She recognized every face. But something unusual happened. The names didn't come as quickly as before. She knew them. She was certain she did. But she had to wait a few seconds longer than usual. That small pause felt heavier than expected. Not because the memory was gone, but because it felt harder to reach. Later that evening, she found herself sitting in silence longer than usual. No television playing in the background. No scrolling through a phone. Just quiet time with her own thoughts. And that's when she realized something important. This wasn't only about memory. It was about connection, the speed, the clarity, the ease she once felt when thinking or speaking. Nothing dramatic had happened. No illness, no major life event, just time and small daily changes that had quietly accumulated. Less walking, less conversation, less mental stimulation, more repetition, more routine. And while routine often feels safe, it doesn't always keep the brain flexible. That realization didn't frighten her, but it did awaken her awareness, because she began to understand something powerful. Her brain wasn't failing. It was responding to the way she was living. When the brain begins to slow, it rarely announces itself loudly. Instead, it adjusts you quietly. The first change many people notice is hesitation, not because they don't know something, but because they are no longer fully confident that the answer will come as quickly as before. You may find yourself double-checking simple things, reading a message twice, confirming an appointment again, or pausing before speaking. These are not signs of failure. They are signs of uncertainty. And uncertainty changes behavior. Some people begin speaking less in conversations, not because they have nothing to say, but because they want to avoid that uncomfortable pause while searching for a word. Others begin relying more heavily on routines, repeating the same activities each day because familiarity feels safe. At first, this feels comforting, predictable, controlled, but over time, something subtle happens. Life becomes quieter, smaller, less demanding, which may feel easier, but comes with a hidden cost. The brain thrives on challenge, not extreme challenge, but gentle effort, small mental stretches, moments where you recall a name, solve a small problem, or try something slightly unfamiliar. Without these moments, the brain becomes efficient but less flexible. And flexibility is what keeps thinking sharp after 50. It's what supports mental clarity, decision-making, and confidence. Without flexibility, even simple tasks may begin to feel heavier. Not impossible, just slower than before. And that slowness can affect how you see yourself. You may not speak the concern out loud, but inside, the question begins to form. Am I losing something? That question often stays unspoken, but it lingers quietly, shaping confidence, shaping mood, shaping daily behavior in ways that are rarely noticed, but deeply felt. Margaret didn't search for dramatic solutions. She didn't look for complicated programs or expensive tools. Instead, she made small changes, almost invisible ones. The first shift she made was movement. Not intense exercise, just gentle, consistent motion. She began walking along a slightly different path each morning. Some days, she chose a route through a quiet park. Other days, she paused to stretch near a window where sunlight entered the room. At first, it felt unnecessary, even a little awkward. But something interesting happened. Her mind began responding. Movement stimulates circulation, not only in the body, but in the brain. Gentle walking, light stretching, or calm yoga movements can help support mental alertness in ways many people overlook. Then she added mental variety. Instead of reading the same type of book she had always chosen, she explored new genres, stories that required attention, ideas that encouraged curiosity. Some evenings, she spent time looking through old photographs, not passively, but actively recalling names, places, and events. These small exercises strengthened connections that had grown quiet over time. And perhaps most importantly, She changed her pace. When a word didn't come immediately, she stopped rushing herself. Instead of feeling frustrated, she paused, allowing the thought to return naturally. Over time, it did. More frequently, more smoothly, because pressure creates tension, and tension blocks recall. But calm attention allows memory to surface naturally. These weren't dramatic changes, but they were consistent, and consistency is one of the most powerful longevity habits a person can build. A few months later, Margaret noticed something unexpected. She wasn't thinking about her memory anymore, not because everything had returned to perfection, but because her thoughts felt natural again. Words came more easily. Names followed without strain. Conversations felt smoother. But the most meaningful change wasn't memory itself. It was confidence. She felt connected to her thoughts again, present in conversations, steady in decisions, comfortable in moments of silence. That feeling mattered more than perfect recall. Because brain health after 50 isn't about holding on to every detail from the past. It's about maintaining connection to your thoughts, your awareness, and your sense of clarity. And connection is built through engagement, through movement, through curiosity, through moments of reflection. Many people believe mental decline happens suddenly, but in reality, it usually shifts gradually, quietly, almost invisibly. And because it shifts slowly, it can also improve slowly. Through small changes, through attention, through care. So if you've noticed subtle changes in your memory, pauses that feel unfamiliar, moments that take slightly longer than before, don't rush to fear. Pause instead. Observe. Because sometimes, what feels like decline is simply a signal, a gentle reminder that your brain needs something different now. And when you respond to that need, through movement, learning, and calm awareness, you don't just think more clearly. You feel calmer, more confident, more connected to yourself again.